The grand ballroom of the Galactic Embassy sparkled with lights from 1,000 different worlds. Ambassador Sarah Chun adjusted her formal dress, feeling out of place among the alien dignitaries. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 3 years ago, and humans were still considered primitive newcomers. She watched Prince Zareth of the Carillion Empire move through the crowd. His blue-scaled skin shimmered under the lights, and his 4 arms gestured gracefully as he spoke. The Carillions controlled half the known galaxy, and this peace summit could determine Earth's future. Sarah noticed the server approaching with a tray of drinks. The purple liquid in crystal glasses looked beautiful, but something felt wrong. The server's movements were too stiff, too calculated. Her military training kicked in as she observed the slight tremor in his hands. Prince Zareth reached for a glass, completely unaware of the danger. Sarah's mind raced. The security scanners at the entrance were supposed to detect any weapons or toxins. But what if someone had found a way around them? Without thinking, she moved forward. Time seemed to slow down as she knocked the glass from the prince's hand and grabbed another from the tray. Before anyone could stop her, she drank it in one swift motion. The room erupted in chaos. Guards rushed forward, weapons drawn. The server tried to run, but was quickly tackled by Carillion security forces. Prince Zareth stared at Sarah in shock as she stood there, the empty glass still in her hand. "That was meant for me," he said, his voice filled with disbelief. "You just drank enough Zirian poison to kill a dozen humans." Sarah felt the liquid burning down her throat. Her vision blurred, and her legs gave out. The last thing she saw was the prince's concerned face as darkness took her. The medical bay was silent except for the steady beep of monitors. Dr. Krell, a 6-eyed Altarian, checked the readings for the 100th time. It didn't make sense. The human should have died within seconds, but 12 hours later, she was still alive. "Her cellular structure is changing," he told Prince Zareth, who had refused to leave. "The poison is breaking down into harmless compounds. I've never seen anything like this." Sarah's eyes suddenly snapped open. She sat up quickly, causing everyone to step back in alarm. She felt different, stronger. Her senses were sharper than before. She could hear conversations in other rooms, smell chemicals she couldn't identify. "What happened to me?" she asked, her voice steady despite the strangeness she felt. Dr. Krell ran more tests, each result more incredible than the last. "The Zirian poison has fundamentally altered your immune system," he explained. "Your body is now producing antibodies against every toxin in our database. You're immune to everything." Prince Zareth moved closer, his 4 hands clasped in a gesture of respect. "You saved my life, knowing it would cost you yours. The Carillion Empire owes you a debt we can never repay." Sarah shook her head. "I just did what felt right. But this immunity, what does it mean?" "It means," the prince said slowly, "that you've become something unprecedented. The first human immune to all known poisons. This could change everything." News of the incident spread quickly through the embassy. Representatives from dozens of worlds wanted to meet the human who had survived the impossible. But Sarah noticed the fear in their eyes. If humans could adapt to deadly toxins, what else might they be capable of? She found herself in meeting after meeting, answering questions from scientists and diplomats. The Zirian poison was one of the deadliest substances in the galaxy, developed by a long-dead civilization. No one had survived exposure to it in recorded history. "We need to understand how this happened," said Ambassador Thrix of the Centauri Collective. "Is this unique to you, or could other humans develop similar immunity?" Sarah didn't have answers. Earth scientists were just as puzzled. Her DNA showed changes they couldn't explain, adaptations that shouldn't be possible. She had become a medical mystery and a political complication. That night, alone in her quarters, Sarah examined her reflection. She looked the same on the outside, but everything had changed. She could feel her body fighting off the recycled air's trace contaminants, adapting to alien bacteria that would normally require medication. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Prince Zareth entered, carrying a datapad. "I've been researching human history," he said. "Your species has survived diseases that would wipe out entire civilizations. Plagues, viruses, bacteria, You adapt and overcome. But this is different, Sarah protested. This was alien poison, not Earth diseases. The prince's scales shifted color, a sign of deep thought. Perhaps not so different. Your species evolved on a world filled with countless toxins and pathogens. You developed the most sophisticated immune system we've ever encountered. The Xerian poison may have simply activated something that was always there. Sarah considered his words. Earth was indeed a harsh world by galactic standards. High gravity, diverse climates, and aggressive microorganisms. Humans had survived it all through adaptation. There's something else, the prince continued. The server who tried to poison me has talked. He was hired by a consortium that wants to keep Earth isolated. They fear what humans might become if given access to galactic technology. Because of our adaptability? Because of your potential. In 3 years, humans have learned to operate technology that took other species centuries to master. You adapt not just biologically, but intellectually and culturally. Some find that threatening. Sarah stood up, her new senses picking up the subtle pheromones of worry from the prince. Then, we need to prove we're not a threat, that we can contribute to the galactic community. Ow! She smiled, an idea forming. By using what happened to me, if we can understand how my body neutralized the poison, we might be able to create universal antidotes. Imagine if no one had to fear assassination by Toxin again. The prince's scales brightened with excitement. That would revolutionize medicine across the galaxy. But it would also make you a target. Those who profit from selling poisons and antidotes won't be pleased. Let them come, Sarah said, feeling the strength flowing through her changed body. I'm not exactly vulnerable anymore. Over the following days, Sarah worked with scientists from multiple species. They discovered that her immunity was even more comprehensive than initially thought. She could neutralize biological weapons, synthetic toxins, even radiation that would kill others instantly. But with each discovery came new challenges. Some species wanted to study her, to dissect the secret of her immunity. Others feared what would happen if humans as a whole developed such abilities. The political situation grew increasingly tense. Ambassador Chen called Sarah to his office, his face grave. The Galactic Council is meeting to discuss your situation. Some members are calling for humanity to be expelled before we become too dangerous. That's ridiculous, Sarah protested. I'm trying to help everyone. I know, but fear rarely listens to logic. We need to handle this carefully. Sarah left the meeting frustrated. She had saved a life and gained an incredible ability, but instead of celebration, she faced suspicion and fear. She wondered if this was how humanity would always be seen, as a threat rather than an ally. That evening, she found Prince Zaref in the observatory, looking out at the stars. My people want me to return home, he said without turning. They fear for my safety if I remain near the humans who attract such controversy. Will you go? He turned to face her, his forearms spread wide. I owe you my life. More than that, I believe in what you represent. Humanity's greatest strength isn't your adaptability. It's your willingness to sacrifice for others. You didn't know you would survive, yet you drank that poison to save me. Sarah joined him at the window. I'd do it again. I know. That's what terrifies them. A species that adapts to anything and will die for strangers. You're either the galaxy's greatest hope or its greatest threat. Maybe we're both, Sarah said quietly. Maybe that's what they need to understand. The stars twinkled before them, each one representing worlds full of life. Sarah's transformation was just beginning, and she knew the path ahead would be difficult. But she also knew that humanity had always thrived on challenges. Tomorrow, she would face the Galactic Council. She would show them that human adaptation could benefit everyone. And if they still feared what she represented, she would prove that humanity's compassion was stronger than any poison. As she stood there with the prince, Sarah felt the weight of representing her entire species. But she also felt the power flowing through her transformed body. Whatever came next, she was ready. The attempted assassination had failed, but it had created something new. Sarah Chan was no longer just human. She was evolution accelerated, adaptation given form. And she would use this gift to bridge the gap between Earth and the stars. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had taken its next step toward its destiny among the stars. And Sarah would be at the forefront, immune to every poison, but vulnerable to hope. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive sphere floating in space, its transparent walls offering a view of the cosmos. Representatives from 300 worlds filled the tiered seats, their diverse forms creating a tapestry of life. Sarah stood in the center, feeling very small and very human. Council Prime Awoke, an ancient being of pure energy, pulsed with different colors as it spoke. Sarah Chun of Earth, you stand before us as an anomaly. Your transformation poses questions we must answer. Sarah straightened her shoulders. She wore a simple Earth uniform, refusing the elaborate robes offered by diplomatic protocol. I stand before you as someone who saved a life. Nothing more, nothing less. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Ambassador Kreetalk of the Hive Worlds clicked his mandibles. You consumed Xerian poison and survived. This makes you a weapon. It makes me immune, Sarah corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Kreetalk pressed. What stops your government from creating an army of unkillable soldiers? Sarah felt her enhanced senses picking up the fear pheromones from various species. She took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. The same thing that stopped me from letting Prince Zareth die. Human conscience. High Chancellor Mira of the Aquatic Federation floated forward in her water-filled mobility sphere. Pretty words, but history shows that conscience fails when power is available. Your species has a violent past. Every species here has violence in their past, Sarah responded. The difference is we're trying to learn from ours. Prince Zareth requested permission to speak. His presence caused a stir. Carillion royalty rarely addressed the full council. I've spent weeks studying human history since the incident. Yes, they have wars and conflicts, but they also have something unique. They consistently choose cooperation over conquest when given the chance. That's naive, scoffed General Torex of the warrior caste. They cooperate because they're weak. Give them power, and they'll use it. Sarah stepped forward, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Then, test us. I propose an exchange program. Send your scientists to study my transformation. Let them work alongside human researchers. Share the knowledge we gain. The council erupted in debate. Some saw opportunity, others trap. Sarah waited patiently, her enhanced hearing catching every argument. She heard fear, greed, curiosity, and hope in equal measure. Council Prime Awoke pulsed for silence. You would share the secret of your immunity. If we can understand it, yes. Imagine a galaxy where assassination by poison is impossible, where biological weapons become useless, where exploration teams can survive toxic environments without suits, and if this immunity can be weaponized. General Torex demanded. Sarah met his 6 eyes steadily. Then, we develop it together, with oversight from all member species. Transparency instead of secrets. The debate continued for hours. Sarah answered every question, addressed every concern. Her enhanced body didn't tire, allowing her to remain sharp as other representatives grew weary. She noticed several members whispering about this endurance, adding it to their list of concerns. Finally, Council Prime Awoke called for a recess. Sarah was escorted to a waiting room where Prince Zareth and Ambassador Chen waited. You did well, the ambassador said, though worry creased his face. But I count at least 40 votes against us. They're scared, Sarah said, sinking into a chair that adjusted automatically to human physiology. I can smell it on them. Fear of change, fear of humans, fear of losing their advantages. Prince Zareth's scales shifted to a pattern Sarah had learned meant determination. My empire has 12 votes. I'll speak with our allies. It might not be enough, Ambassador Chen warned. If they vote to expel humanity, they won't, Sarah said with more confidence than she felt. Because I'm going to give them something they want more than safety. Both men looked at her questioningly, but she just smiled. Her enhanced senses had picked up something during the debate, subtle chemical signals between certain representatives. The black market for biological weapons was larger than anyone admitted publicly. Her immunity threatened a trillion-credit industry. When the council reconvened, Sarah made an unexpected request. Before you vote, I ask for one demonstration. Council Prime Vor AK pulsed curiously. What kind of demonstration? Sarah pulled out a vial from her pocket, causing security to tense. This is Netherin nerve toxin, provided by your own medical staff. One drop kills in seconds. I'll drink it all. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Even those who feared her looked shocked. Netherin toxin was so deadly that most species couldn't even handle the container safely. This proves nothing, General Torx objected. We know you're immune. But you don't know how quickly I adapt, Sarah said. She opened the vial and drank it like water. The chamber held its breath. Sarah's body reacted immediately. She could feel her immune system analyzing the new threat, breaking it down, learning from it. Within seconds, the adaptation was complete. But she didn't stop there. Dr. Krell, please scan me now, she requested. The Altarian doctor, who had been observing from the science section, hurried down with his equipment. His 6 eyes widened as he read the results. Incredible. Her body isn't just neutralizing the toxin. It's producing antibodies that could be synthesized. Sarah nodded. Every poison I encounter, my body learns to counter. But more importantly, it creates the blueprint for an antidote. I'm not just immune. I'm a living laboratory for creating universal antivenoms. The political dynamic shifted instantly. Representatives who had opposed her suddenly saw opportunity. A living antidote factory could save billions of lives across the galaxy. How do we know these antibodies would work for other species? Asked the ever-skeptical Kreetalk. Test them, Sarah said simply. I volunteer for a research partnership with any world willing to participate. Full transparency, shared benefits. High Chancellor Mira floated closer, her tentacles waving with interest. You would let us study your blood? Your cells. Within ethical limits, yes. No dissection, no cloning without consent. But samples, scans, collaborative research? Absolutely. Prince Zareth stepped forward again. The Carillion Empire offers our full support for this initiative. We'll provide funding and our best scientists. Other representatives began pledging support. The fear hadn't disappeared, but greed and curiosity were winning. Sarah had counted on that. She'd learned in her diplomatic career that self-interest often succeeded where altruism failed. But General Torx wasn't finished. This changes nothing about the threat. What happens when Earth has 1,000 soldiers like her? 10,000. Sarah faced him directly. Then, the galaxy will have 10,000 people who can walk into plague zones to save lives, who can negotiate with species that use biological weapons as standard atmosphere, who can explore worlds too toxic for current technology. Pretty words again, Torx growled. But humans are ambitious. You'll use this power to expand. Like the warrior caste used their strength to conquer 40 systems? Sarah asked mildly. The general's scales flushed with anger. But she continued. Every species here gained power and used it to grow. Why should humans be held to a different standard? Because you adapt too quickly, someone shouted from the upper tiers. Sarah located the speaker, a representative from one of the older races. And you adapted too slowly. That's why half your colonies failed before you developed proper terraforming. Every species has advantages and disadvantages. Ours is adaptation. Yours is wisdom from age. Both have value. The debate shifted again. Younger species began supporting Earth, seeing parallels to their own struggles for acceptance. Older races remained divided, but cracks appeared in their opposition. Council Prime Vor AK called for order. We will vote, all in favor of allowing Earth to remain in the Galactic Council, with Sarah Chun leading a joint research initiative into her immunity. Lights began appearing throughout the chamber as representatives voted. Sarah counted, her enhanced vision tracking the display. It would be close. Very close. The final tally appeared. 156 in favor, 144 against. Earth would stay. Sarah felt relief wash over her, but she kept her expression neutral. This was just a first victory. The real work would now begin. After the session, she found herself surrounded by representatives wanting to discuss research partnerships. She handled each carefully, making no firm commitments but keeping all options open. Her enhanced senses helped her read their true intentions, separating genuine scientific interest from political maneuvering. Prince Zareth appeared at her elbow during a break in the crowd. You played them perfectly, turning their greed against their fear. I gave them what they wanted, Sarah corrected. A chance to benefit from change instead of being threatened by it. Still, you've made enemies today. General Torex's faction won't forget this defeat. Sarah nodded. She could already see the general huddled with his allies, planning their next move. Let them come. I'm harder to kill now. It's not just assassination you need to worry about, the prince warned. Political attacks can be just as deadly. Over the following weeks, Sarah threw herself into establishing the research initiative. She worked with scientists from dozens of worlds, subjecting herself to countless tests. Each day brought new discoveries about her transformed biology. Her cells could identify and neutralize any toxin within minutes. Her blood, when properly processed, could create antidotes that worked across species lines. Most remarkably, her immunity seemed to be growing stronger, adapting to theoretical poisons that existed only in computer models. It's like evolution in fast forward, Dr. Krell explained to a gathering of researchers. Her immune system is learning, predicting, preparing for threats that don't even exist yet. But with each breakthrough came new challenges. Some worlds wanted exclusive access to her antibodies. Others feared the economic impact on their pharmaceutical industries. A few even suggested that Sarah should be kept in protective custody for her own safety. Sarah refused all attempts to restrict her movement. She split her time between the research lab and diplomatic meetings, using her position to strengthen Earth's relationships. Her immunity had made her famous, but she was determined to use that fame constructively. One evening, she received an encrypted message asking for a private meeting. The sender was anonymous, but they claimed to have information about the origin of Xerium poison. Despite the obvious risk, Sarah agreed. Her immunity made her confident, perhaps too confident. The meeting was set for an abandoned section of the station. Sarah arrived to find a figure in heavy robes waiting for her. When they lowered their hood, she gasped. It was another human. "Hello, Sarah," the woman said. "My name is Dr. Elizabeth Harper. I used to work for Earth's Biological Warfare Division. We need to talk about what really happened to you." Sarah tensed. Biological warfare was banned by Earth Treaty 20 years ago. Officially, yes. Unofficially, we never stopped preparing for alien threats. Your transformation was an accident. You were selected years ago as a potential candidate. That's impossible. I chose to drink that poison. Dr. Harper smiled sadly. Did you? Or did years of psychological conditioning make it feel like your choice? We knew eventually someone would try to assassinate a high-value alien target near a human. We made sure the human would react exactly as you did. Sarah's enhanced senses detected no deception, but she didn't want to believe it. You're saying Earth engineered this? Not engineered. Prepared for. Your genetic profile showed unusual adaptability. We simply made sure you were in the right place at the right time with the right instincts. Why tell me this now? Because Phase 2 is beginning. You've proven humans can adapt to alien toxins. Now we need to ensure that ability spreads to others. Controlled, careful spreading to selected individuals. Sarah stepped back. No, the research partnership is about creating antidotes, not super soldiers. Why not both? Dr. Harper asked. Earth needs defenders. You've seen how many species fear us. Wouldn't it be better to have protection? Protection built on deception? On manipulating our allies? That's exactly what they fear about us. Dr. Harper's expression hardened. Their fear exists regardless. At least this way, we're prepared for when that fear turns to action. Sarah realized she stood at a crossroads. She could expose this program and risk Earth's expulsion from the Council, or she could stay silent and become complicit in humanity's secret advancement. I need time to think, she said finally. Don't take too long, Dr. Harper warned. Others in the program aren't as idealistic as you. They'll move forward with or without your cooperation. Sarah left the meeting deeply troubled. Everything she believed about her transformation was now in question. Had her heroic act been nothing more than program behavior? Were humans already on the path to becoming what other species feared? She found Prince Zareth in the observatory where they talked that first night. Without hesitation, she told him everything. The prince listened in silence, his scales shifting through colors she'd never seen before. "What will you do?" he asked when she finished. "I don't know. Exposing this could destroy everything we've built. But hiding it makes me complicit in the deception." The prince was quiet for a long moment. "Perhaps there's a third option. Use their plan against them. If Earth's government wants to create more enhanced humans, ensure it's done through the official research partnership, with full oversight. They'll never agree to that. They will if the alternative is exposure. You hold the power here, Sarah. You're the only successful transformation. Without you, their program fails." Sarah considered his words. It was risky, but it might be the only way to preserve both Earth's standing and her integrity. "Will you help me?" she asked. The prince's 4 hands clasped hers. "I owe you my life. More than that, I believe in the future you represent. Not the engineered future your government wants, but the one where humans and aliens work together as equals." Sarah felt a surge of determination. Her transformation might have been orchestrated, but what she did with it was her choice. And she chose to forge a path between humanity's ambitions and the galaxy's fears. The next morning, she called a meeting with Ambassador Chun and the Earth delegation. She laid out what she'd learned and her proposal. The room erupted in arguments, some denying Dr. Harper's claims, others defending the program as necessary. Sarah let them argue themselves out, then spoke with quiet authority. "It doesn't matter whether the program was justified. What matters is what we do now. We can continue in secret and validate everyone's worst fears about humanity, or we can bring this into the open under proper oversight." "You're talking about betraying Earth," one official accused. "I'm talking about saving it," Sarah countered. "From itself, if necessary. We stand at a threshold. We can become the threat they fear, or we can prove that human evolution can benefit everyone." Ambassador Chun, who had remained silent, finally spoke. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Full disclosure to the research partnership. Any enhancement program operates under multilateral oversight. We share the benefits with all species equally. In exchange, they help us develop the program safely and ethically. They'll never trust us again if we admit to this deception. They'll never trust us if we're caught hiding it," Sarah replied. "At least this way, we control the narrative. We made a mistake. We're correcting it. We're choosing transparency." The debate raged for hours, but eventually pragmatism won. Sarah's position as the only successful enhancement made her irreplaceable. Reluctantly, Earth's government agreed to her terms. The revelation to the research partnership was as difficult as expected. Several species withdrew immediately. Others demanded guarantees and safeguards. But, surprisingly, some saw it as proof of human growth, the ability to admit mistakes and change course. Prince Zareth's support proved crucial. His species' reputation for honor gave weight to his endorsement of the new transparency. Slowly, carefully, the partnership rebuilt on a foundation of truth rather than deception. Sarah continued her work, but now with a deeper purpose. Each antidote created, each life saved, was proof that human enhancement could serve the greater good. She became not just a test subject, but an advocate, traveling to different worlds to demonstrate the benefits of cooperation. The fear didn't disappear overnight. General Torex and his faction continued to oppose human expansion. But their arguments carried less weight as the enhancement program produced doctors who could treat previously incurable diseases, explorers who could survey toxic worlds, and diplomats who could survive assassination attempts. 6 months after the council vote, Sarah stood in a new facility built specifically for the enhancement program. Representatives from 50 worlds worked alongside human scientists, all committed to developing the technology ethically. Dr. Harper had been reassigned to the program, her expertise too valuable to waste. She approached Sarah during a break between experiments. "I still think you're naive," she said. "The galaxy is dangerous. Humanity needs every advantage." "We're getting advantages," Sarah replied. "Just not at the cost of our souls." Pretty words. Let's hope they're enough when the next crisis comes. Sarah smiled. "They were enough when I drank that poison." Sometimes doing the right thing for the right reasons is the greatest advantage of all. As she returned to work, Sarah reflected on her journey. She'd gone from diplomat to enhanced human to bridge between species. Her transformation had been manipulated, but she'd claimed ownership of it. She'd turned a potential weapon into a tool for peace. The future remained uncertain. Not every species would accept human enhancement. Not every human would use it wisely. But Sarah had faith in the path they'd chosen. Cooperation over conquest, transparency over deception, hope over fear. She was no longer just immune to poisons. She'd become immune to the cynicism that claimed humanity's destiny was conflict. And that, more than any physical transformation, was her greatest strength. 2 years had passed since Sarah Chan drank the Xerium poison. The enhancement program now operated on 12 worlds, producing individuals capable of surviving environments that would kill normal beings. Sarah stood on the observation deck of the research station orbiting Kepler 442b, watching the latest team of enhanced humans work on the planet's toxic surface without suits. "Remarkable," said Director Yasi, her crystalline form refracting the light from the planet below. 6 months ago, that atmosphere would have killed them in seconds. Now, they're building a settlement. Sarah nodded, pride mixing with concern. Each success brought new challenges. Any word from the Council about the frontier proposal? Still debating. Many species worry about enhanced humans expanding into territories they cannot survive in themselves. Before Sarah could respond, alarms began blaring. Her enhanced senses immediately detected the change. Something was wrong with the station's life support systems. The air was becoming toxic, filled with a compound she didn't recognize. "Everyone to emergency shelters," Director Yasi commanded through the intercom. Sarah moved against the flow of panicking personnel, heading toward the life support center. Her immunity would let her survive whatever was happening. She found the control room, filled with a green gas that made her eyes water despite her enhancements. Inside, she discovered Chief Engineer Toxin collapsed at his console. Sarah checked his pulse, weak but present. She quickly analyzed the gas filling the room. It wasn't in her database of known toxins, which meant her body was encountering it for the first time. She felt her immune system responding, adapting, learning. But it was slower than usual. Whatever this was, it had been designed to challenge even enhanced biology. Sarah dragged Thompson to the emergency airlock, sealing him inside with clean oxygen before returning to the console. The readouts showed deliberate sabotage. Someone had introduced this new compound directly into the life support system. But who and why? Her enhanced hearing picked up movement in the maintenance shaft above. Sarah leaped up, her augmented strength allowing her to tear open the grating. A figure in a full environmental suit tried to flee, but she was faster. She tackled the saboteur, wrestling them to the ground. Through the suit's visor, she recognized the face, General Torex's aide, a warrior caste operative named Krex. "You're too late," Krex gasped through his suit's speaker. "The gas will kill everyone on this station. Even you enhanced humans have limits." Sarah felt her body finishing its adaptation to the gas. "You're right. We do have limits, but we overcome them." She hauled Krex to the security center, where station guards took custody. Then, she raced back to life support. The gas had spread through 60% of the station. Emergency shelters were holding, but they only had limited air supplies. Working at superhuman speed, Sarah began synthesizing an antidote from her own blood. Her body had cracked the code of the new toxin, and now she could share that immunity. But she needed to work fast. Dr. Krell's voice crackled over the intercom from his sealed medical bay. "Sarah, what's your status?" "I need the emergency distribution system online," she replied while working. "I can create an aerosol antidote, but I need a way to spread it station-wide. That system was damaged in the sabotage. You need to repair the main coupling in Section C. Section C was currently flooded with the toxic gas. Even with her immunity, prolonged exposure was causing her discomfort. But there was no choice. Sarah filled several canisters with her synthesized antidote and headed into the contaminated sections. The green gas was so thick she could barely see. Her enhanced body was fighting constant adaptation as the toxin kept trying new attacks on her system. She found the damaged coupling. Cracks had been thorough. It would take precious minutes to repair, minutes the people in emergency shelters might not have. Sarah worked with desperate efficiency, her hands moving in a blur. An explosion rocked the station. Sarah's enhanced hearing identified the source, the main reactor. Krex hadn't just poisoned the air. He'd set the station to destroy itself. All hands, prepare for evacuation, came the automated announcement. Sarah ignored it. If the station exploded, the 1,200 people aboard would die, enhanced or not. She finished the coupling repair and activated the distribution system. Her antidote began spreading through the vents, neutralizing the toxic gas. But she still had a reactor to save. The journey to the reactor core was a nightmare of damaged corridors and increasing radiation. Sarah felt her body adapting again, this time to nuclear exposure. It hurt. Every adaptation came with a cost, and she was pushing her limits. She found a reactor room in chaos. The cooling systems had been destroyed, and the core temperature was rising toward critical. Standard procedure would be evacuation, but there wasn't time. Sarah did the only thing she could think of. She entered the reactor chamber itself. The radiation hit her like a physical force. Her skin burned, healed, adapted, then burned again as levels increased. She reached the manual cooling controls, her fingers blistering and regenerating with each movement. She initiated emergency cooling, but the system needed time. Time she had to buy with her own body as a shield. Sarah positioned herself between the worst of the radiation and the door, ensuring no lethal doses would escape into the station. Minutes felt like hours. Her enhanced body fought a constant war against destruction and regeneration. She could feel herself changing at a cellular level, adapting to energies no human was meant to survive. Finally, the temperature began dropping. The cooling system engaged fully, bringing the reactor back under control. Sarah collapsed, her body smoking from radiation burns that healed even as she watched. The station was saved. Recovery took days, even with her enhanced healing. Sarah lay in the medical bay, her body still adapting to the massive trauma it had endured. The entire station had survived thanks to her antidote and intervention. Prince Zareth arrived on the first rescue ship, his scales pale with worry. When I heard what happened, Sarah, you pushed too far. Even enhancement has limits. That's what Krex thought, Sarah replied weakly. He was wrong. The investigation revealed a deeper conspiracy. General Torex's faction had developed the new toxin specifically to prove enhanced humans could be killed. They'd chosen the research station to maximum impact, hoping to turn opinion against the enhancement program. Instead, they'd proven the opposite. You survived something designed to kill you, Ambassador Chen said during a holographic briefing. The council is in uproar. Some see it as proof of human invincibility. Others fear what you're becoming. Sarah sat up despite Dr. Krell's protests. What I'm becoming is what we all need to become. Not invincible, but adaptable. That toxin would have killed everyone on the station. Instead, we developed an antidote in minutes. An antidote derived from your blood, the ambassador noted. You're becoming irreplaceable. Then, we make more of me, not through tricks or deception, but through volunteer enhancement. Show the galaxy that this isn't about creating super soldiers. It's about survival. The attack had an unexpected consequence. Species that had remained neutral in the enhancement debate began reconsidering. If extremists were willing to murder 1,200 people to stop the program, perhaps the program had more value than they'd thought. Sarah used the momentum to push for expansion. She testified before the council. Still weak from her ordeal, but determined. General Torex's faction created a weapon they thought would destroy us, she told the assembly. Instead, they proved why enhancement is necessary. New threats will always emerge. We can either adapt or die. She displayed the chemical formula of Crex's toxin. This didn't exist in nature. It was engineered to be unbeatable. But we beat it, and we'll beat the next one and the one after that. Not through aggression, but through evolution. High Chancellor Mira floated forward. You speak of evolution, but evolution is slow. What you're doing is revolution. Then, let's revolutionize together, Sarah replied. The enhancement program is open to all species. We've already had success with Altarian and Carillion volunteers. Imagine a galaxy where anyone can survive anywhere, where biological weapons become obsolete, where exploration has no limits, and where traditional species become extinct. General Torex interjected, breaking protocol. You're not offering evolution. You're offering replacement. Sarah turned to face him. I'm offering choice. No one is forced to enhance. But no one should be prevented from choosing it either. You survived a weapon designed to kill you, Torex accused. What happens when you decide we're the threat? Then, I'll do what I did 2 years ago, Sarah said simply. I'll stand between you and danger. Enhanced or not, I'm still human. We protect. We sacrifice. We adapt not for conquest, but for survival. Everyone's survival. The debate continued, but the tide was turning. The footage of Sarah entering the radiation-flooded reactor had spread across the galaxy. Here was an enhanced human who'd risked everything to save others, including species that opposed her very existence. Prince Zareth announced the Carillion Empire's full support for enhancement expansion. We've seen what these abilities can do in the right hands. Sarah Chun represents not the end of natural species, but the beginning of chosen evolution. Other powers followed suit. The Aquatic Federation saw the potential for exploring oceanic worlds with crushing pressure. The Centauri Collective wanted enhanced diplomats who could survive assassination attempts. Even some warrior caste worlds expressed interest in enhancement for their peacekeeping forces. But success brought new challenges. As the program expanded, quality control became crucial. Not everyone who enhanced developed Sarah's level of ability. Some gained limited immunity. Others found their enhancement came with unexpected costs. Sarah took charge of training new, enhanced individuals. She taught them not just how to use their abilities, but when power without wisdom was dangerous, especially power that adapted to threats. Your enhancement is a tool, she told a group of new volunteers. It doesn't make you superior. It makes you capable. Use that capability to help, not harm. One student, a young human named Marcus, raised his hand. But what if helping requires harming? What if we face another attack? Sarah considered the question. It was one she'd struggled with herself. Then, we harm as little as possible to help as much as possible. We're not weapons. We're shields. Sometimes shields have to push back, but their purpose is protection. The philosophy classes were as important as the physical training. Sarah had learned that enhancement without ethics led to the fears General Torex promoted. They needed enhanced individuals who saw their abilities as responsibilities, not privileges. 6 months after the station attack, Sarah received an unexpected visitor. General Torex himself requested a private meeting. She agreed, curious despite the danger. They met in a neutral location, a diplomatic suite with representatives from multiple species as witnesses. Torex looked older, his scales dulled with stress. You survived my best attempt to kill you, he said without preamble. My faction spent years developing that toxin. You adapted to it in minutes. Your point. My point is that I was wrong. The admission seemed to physically pain him. Not about the danger you represent, but about how to address it. Fighting enhanced humans is like fighting evolution itself. Pointless. Sarah leaned forward. Then what do you propose? Integration. My people need enhancement too. We're warriors, but wars are changing. Biological weapons, toxic worlds, radiation zones, traditional strength isn't enough anymore. You want warrior caste enhancement. I want warrior caste survival. We've defined ourselves by physical power for millennia. If that definition needs to evolve, then we evolve. Sarah saw the opportunity. Torex's support would eliminate the last major opposition to enhancement. But she also saw the danger. Warrior caste enhancement could create the super soldiers everyone feared. Under certain conditions, she said carefully. Full integration with the existing program. Ethical training mandatory. Multi-species oversight of all warrior caste enhancements. Torex's eyes narrowed. You don't trust us. I don't trust anyone with unchecked power, including myself. That's why the program has safeguards. Accept them or remain unenhanced. The negotiation took hours, but eventually Torex agreed. The warrior caste would join the enhancement program under the same restrictions as everyone else. It was a victory, but Sarah knew it was also a test. If the program could successfully integrate warriors without creating conquerors, it would prove enhancement's universal viability. The first warrior caste volunteers arrived a month later. Sarah personally oversaw their enhancement, watching for any signs of militaristic exploitation. To her surprise, many warriors embraced the ethical framework. We're protectors, one warrior explained after a philosophy session. This just makes us better protectors. Not all adapted so easily. Some warriors struggled with the idea that enhancement was for service, not dominance. But peer pressure from successfully enhanced warriors helped. A new warrior culture began emerging, one that valued adaptation over raw strength. Sarah stood in the same observatory where she'd made her first decision years ago. Earth hung in a viewport, blue and beautiful. Humanity's homeworld was no longer seen as a threat, but as the birthplace of chosen evolution. Regrets? Prince Zareth asked, joining her as he often did. None, Sarah replied. Every choice led here. Even the manipulations that started all. Dr. Harper's program created me. But I created what came after. We all did. Human, Carillion, warrior caste. We're writing a new future together. The prince's scales shimmered with contentment. A future where my grandchildren can explore any world, survive any environment, face any challenge. A future where assassination by poison is history, Sarah added. Where biological warfare is obsolete. Where the only limit to exploration is imagination. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers. But now life had a new tool for survival, the ability to adapt at will. Sarah touched the viewport, feeling the cold through her enhanced skin. She could survive in the vacuum beyond, had proven it during emergency repairs months ago. But survival wasn't the point. The point was that she could help others survive too. A message alert broke her reverie. New volunteers were arriving, a mixed group of humans, Altarians, and for the first time, representatives from the Silicon Alliance. Even artificial life forms wanted to explore enhancement, adapting their biological components for better integration with their mechanical parts. I should go, Sarah said. Another class to teach, another group to guide. Prince Zareth caught her arm gently. You've become something more than anyone expected. Teacher, protector, bridge between species. Your transformation transcended the physical. Sarah smiled. We all transform. That's what it means to be alive. Enhancement just makes it visible. She left for the training center, where eager faces waited to begin their own journeys. Each volunteer carried the hopes and fears of their species. Sarah would help them navigate both. The woman who'd impulsively drunk poison to save an alien prince had become the architect of a new era. Not through conquest or manipulation, but through sacrifice and wisdom. She'd taken humanity's greatest strength, adaptability, and shared it with the galaxy. As she entered the training center, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility and the lightness of purpose. Every enhanced individual was proof that cooperation worked. Every saved life validated the program's existence. Every adapted threat became a conquered fear. The galaxy was changing one enhancement at a time. And Sarah Chund, the first immune human, would guide that change with steady hands and an open heart. She'd drunk poison and awakened to possibility. Now she helped others do the same. The future was adaptation. And adaptation, Sarah had learned, was just another word for hope.